There are more than 300,000 people on benefits because they're out of work in this region. They'll be affected by government plans announced today to shake up welfare. But there's been a mixed reaction to the proposals, as our business correspondent Richard Bond reports.
Alan Marnes has been out of work for 2 years. The former production manager from Southo near St Neots spends 40 hours a week trawling the web for work. As chairman of his parish council, Alan's all for the unemployed being made to do voluntary work and prodded towards paid work too.
It is very easy for people to stay on benefits, to manipulate the system. There are people that have never done a day's work, but there are people like myself who have applied for 850 jobs and cannot get a job for love nor money.
The UK has 5 million people on out-of-work benefits, at least 300,000 of them in this region. Under government plans, jobless people who refuse work could have their benefits stopped. It's in places like Great Yarmouth where the policy could be put to the test. I met Andrew, out of work for 3 years, a former labourer for a roofing company.
If I had my money stopped, I've got nothing. I'm going to, lose my house. Well, just going to have nothing, I'm just going to be on the streets probably, and I'm going to have nothing.
In the last decade, thousands of migrants have moved to Yarmouth to take jobs, even though there are lots of long-term unemployed here.
Yarmouth's also reputed to have a black economy, where people claim benefits but then work on the side, cash in hand, perhaps doing seasonal jobs.
One of the things I was hearing over and over on the doorstep leading up to the general election and since then from residents is that they're fed up with some people who they believe are able to be on benefits while they're hard at work and paying for people to stay at home. So I think there's a strong positive message there about that period is over.
But critics say the changes risk plunging people into destitution. Richard Bond, BBC Look East.
The police in Essex have discovered one of the biggest cannabis factories ever found in Britain. The drugs had a street value of £2 million. 4 men from Vietnam have been charged and 2 men from Essex have been released on bail.
This is where the cannabis factory was discovered, in a disused building at Heybridge near Malden, once used as a printworks. It's an industrial area well away from homes, so no one knew what was happening inside until officers smashed their way in. They found 9 rooms specially constructed and a total of 8,000 cannabis plants and cuttings. Police believe the gang had been running their criminal operation since June, at least.
Basically, we received some information, as a result of which we obtained a search warrant. When we entered the premises, there were 6 people in the premises, all of which were arrested. Yeah, we came in and stumbled across something that we didn't anticipate the size of what we found.
It's certainly the largest cannabis factory found in Essex and among the biggest nationwide. The gang risked their lives to tap into a substation on site to get power. Police believe they'd already harvested at least 1 crop and the operation was getting bigger all the time, with construction of extra rooms already underway to house even more cannabis plants.
We've interrupted their business, for want of a better expression. They invested an awful lot of money, which they've now lost. I suppose the premises was disused in a relatively quiet area, so for people who do this as a business, I suppose it was probably an ideal premises.
Police say there's no doubt this was the work of a sophisticated gang. They believe they spent in excess of £250,000 equipping this building to produce cannabis. All the plants will now be destroyed and all the growing rooms and equipment inside will be stripped out completely. That work has already started. Kevin Birch, BBC Look East, in Essex.
The Essex peer Lord Hanningfield and 3 MPs are to face trials in a criminal court. The former leader of Essex County Council denies a charge of false accounting relating to his travel allowance claims. The Supreme Court ruled the cases can't be dealt with internally in Parliament. A Norfolk MP is urging her own government not to close a tornado base. There are concerns budget cuts mean RAF Marham near King's Lynn is at risk. In the Commons today, Elizabeth Truss, the Conservative MP for South West Norfolk, said closing Marham would be a grave mistake, both financially and militarily.
A group of students from Essex have been speaking out against the behaviour of protesters in London yesterday. 300 students from the university joined the march against the budget cuts and a rise in tuition fees. This report from Catherine Nash.
Student action yesterday is front page news today. Back on campus, protesters from the University of Essex say they went to fight cuts and a rise in tuition fees, not to break the law.
I just wanted to ensure everything was going well, everyone was safe. That was the prior thing on my mind. That was the most important thing I was concerned about. So getting off the coach, I just ensured that everyone was going to the right place, everyone knew what they had to do, and we just led the students along to main Horse Guards Avenue, where the protest was happening.
50 people were arrested as a result of rioting, a fact those at the university are angry about. They say to their knowledge none of their party were involved, but they'd heard rumours there was trouble.
When you started hearing them, it's like, oh, I hope no one I know is getting involved in that. I hope no one's getting hurt. And then when we got across the river, we could actually see people on top of the building, and then realise it was Conservative Party HQ. It's like, what have people done? Why have they done this?
Over 50,000 people marched through the capital to hammer the message home, but the group in Essex have fears their efforts could be overshadowed by those who broke the law.
I think potentially the message has been damaged by a very small minority of students who decided to act outside of the law, to act violently, but 52,000 students have sent a powerful message to those MPs who are swaying on the vote in Parliament.
If we went again, we'd do the same we did this time, just warn people not to step outside of the law and just to take care of themselves and just protest peacefully, because that's what we were there to do, and that's the message that we want to put across to everyone.
BBC Radio Suffolk has raised more than £9,000 with a variety show for a new children's hospice. The presenters took part in the Big Night Out at the Spa Pavilion Theatre in Felixstowe. The show was a sellout. The money will go towards a children's hospice in Ipswich. £3 million is needed altogether.